Hi guys, I'm a Forester here. My knives are strangely feeling smaller lately. This Kershaw Blur is a good example. It was the first big knife that I bought several years ago. Now I'd almost put it in a lightweight, mid-size category. I almost run out of room with this 4.5-inch aluminum handle. Another good example is my Spyderco Tenacious. Now this was my first big working knife. It's roughly the same size of the Blur, but my hand is even more cramped because of the curve of these handles. Both of these knives feel smaller to me, and it's not that my hand is growing. Even my large Sebenza feels different in my hand now. It has a 4 3/4 inch handle, but it just feels adequate, and the overall design of the Sebenza has me viewing it almost as a gentleman folder. Well, I'm exaggerating just a little bit, but why are my knives feeling smaller lately? I think it's because of this knife, the ZT-561. I call it Beauty and the Beast. ZT calls it a real beast right here on the box. And it is a beast.
That's a knife.
The 561 weighs in at just under 6 ounces. It's 8 3/4 inches long, and there's plenty of room on the handle behind the finger choil with 3/4 of an inch to spare at the end. Now this knife has been out for several years, but I've never really considered buying it because of two factors, its size and the cost. But now that I have it, its size doesn't bother me at all. It's very well balanced, which makes it feel lighter than it really is. Also, the low ride pocket clip lets it sit lower in my pocket and ride comfortably. I've actually found an advantage to its large size. On some frame locks, I have a little trouble opening them because I tend to put pressure on the locking bar with my fingers. But with the extra length of this 561, it rests comfortably on the lower pad of my palm, and there isn't any pressure on the locking bar when I open it. Who knew? Despite its size, this flipper action knife is one of my favorite knives to play with. Remember the CRKT Ripple? I did a video of this, and in that video I called it my favorite fondling knife because it was so much fun to flip open. Well, the 561 is just as much fun to flip open, but it has a totally different feel to it. The Ripple comes out like a ballerina doing pirouettes, quick and nimble. The 561 comes out smoothly on its ball bearing system, but it comes out with momentum. Sometimes if I hold it just right, I can get it to open up just almost in slow motion. It depends on the angle of the blade. This knife has gravitas, and I don't even know what that means. I'll go over some of the main features of the knife, and let's start with the blade. It has a hollow ground, drop point blade made of Elmax steel. Now that's a powdered steel that was made to minimize the impurities to create a blade with more uniform properties. I've used this knife a good bit, and the original edge is still scary sharp. Let me give you a quick paper cutting test. And it goes through that like through hot butter. The blade is 3 3/4 inches long, and it has a real good looking stone-washed finish that hides my scratches well. Let me see if I can rotate it in the light to where you can get a really good look at that stone-washed finish. I hope you can see that. The blade has dual thumb studs right here, although you're not going to be using them to open the knife. They function more as blade stops. The G10 handle scale on the presentation side is in dark earth brown. I think this is much more attractive than the black version. The grips are contoured and they fit very well in my hand. There's plenty of jimping, both above here and below in the finger choil, right here, and also in back. So it's very stable in my hand. The pocket clip is 4-way positionable, here, here, also here, and here where it is. I've left it the way it came from the factory, right hand tip up. It has the Hinderer style lock bar stabilizer. Now speaking of this being a Rick Hinderer designed knife, I originally was approved to buy a knife directly from Rick, That's another reason why I had decided not to buy a ZT Hinderer. I wanted the real thing, but I've waited a full year and I still haven't contacted them when they had the knife that I wanted available, so I decided to buy a ZT Hinderer right now instead. And I'm glad that I did. It's a real beauty and a beast. Y'all take care.